Good afternoon, gents and goons. it's
Gents and goons.
it's your favorite romanceable options coming to you live today with the JSB Anime cast. I imagine, like, as we talk to each other in a visual novel, that's y'all's standard base. Just when the protagonist is talking to you guys, it's just like, yeah, there are two tsundere options, and it just happens to be uh, two of my favorite people, and that would be JSB Zen, who's to my
Hi.
bottom right. Uh, what type of character are you in the harem visual novel?
I am like the straight face, silent person. Uh,
Perfect.
yeah. Everybody thinks like I'm a mystery, but in my head I'm just like, oh, cats are cute.
On the on the difficulty spectrum, where would you put yourself? Like, are you
Extremely difficult.
extremely difficult? Perfect.
I have a very hard route because you never know what I'm thinking. All,
Fantastic.
all the answers are incorrect.
When you try to run through it the first time and you're like, "Yep, I got to restart all over again because this didn't work out." Um,
Absolutely.
and then we also have Tiger Lily to my bottom left.
Hello.
Which character are you in the harem romanceable options game?
The Reaper of the Battlefield.
I
So there's always this overpowered male character, super OP, and everyone, and just a look like will send a man flying across a room.
incredible, perfect in every way. What difficulty are you to romance?
Impossible.
Oh, okay.
Oh, dang. She's the option where like you want them to be romanceable, but they're not, and you're just like, God damn, there has to be a route here, but it's not there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Only the
Yeah.
protagonist.
O-
can,
only
win me
the
over.
protagonist can win you over.
Somehow the protagonist just unlocks the key to my heart.
And
Oh,
you
man.
have to beat the
Even
game
I
at
don't
least
understand
once.
why.
You have to beat the game at least once to even unlock the route to
Oh, the new game plus option.
yeah, the new
Dang.
game plus option to even
Either
romance
that or you can
Tiger
pay your
Lily.
way through it with a DLC.
Exactly. Incredible. And then me, I would be the first option you're introduced to, and therefore the one that the game like kind of leans into to start. You know what I'm
Oh
talking
yeah, the
about?
childhood friend.
The childhood friend. And I'm definitely on the easier side because I'm straight up a slut. So let's get this show going. Um, what?
Whoa.
I don't know. How are you guys feeling this Sunday? Are you guys feeling good? Have you guys had like a good weekend?
Feeling pretty good. I feel like I've had a packed weekend.
You've had a packed
It went from being a very like chill weekend to like, oh my God, I'm doing a lot of things. And then I just got back from the Nakama Nerd Market that they had this weekend,
Mhm.
right? Um, so I don't know. I'm vibing.
We love Nakama. Support those goons if you're
Mhm.
free. You should have went there before this podcast so that you could go home and watch the podcast. But you know, you could. They do it monthly, so you guys can go next time. How about you, Jenny? How are you feeling?
I tried to make this weekend the opposite of last weekend. So
Mhm.
last weekend was like super jam packed for Memorial Day weekend, and then I'm realizing how exhausted I was from that still.
Yep.
So it has been a chill weekend. The rain outside right now is like echoing my mood.
Hmm.
So I'm like gonna be boxed in at home, and it'll be great.
Fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, well, you know what I like to do? I like to hear about what you goons have been up to. Um, so yeah, what have y'all been watching slash doing? What's anime adjacent? What's not anime adjacent? Anything that tickles your fancy? Starting with Jenny, you said you had a jam packed Memorial Day weekend. So is there
Yeah.
anything that's like of interest there, or was it just like it's jam packed, but I don't really want to talk about it?
It was a ton of stuff. Very active on the very first day, and
Hmm.
then I always do Murph. I know Derek did it.
Yeah, Derek did Murph.
Uh,
Yep.
up. So I did it as well. I do it with the weighted vest too. So
Oh.
my legs were just dead after
Hmm.
that. But also 2 days before that, I played 2 games of kickball plus did my deadlift workout right before that. So
Jeez.
yeah, my legs were like, we don't like you anymore.
Yeah.
But it was a good weekend. like in terms of seeing a lot of people that I don't usually get to see.
Mm-hmm.
An impromptu board game night at your place.
Oh yeah! Oh my God, we played Nemesis. That was awesome,
Yeah,
and you were the
I felt
first winner. The only
everybody else
person.
died.
Everybody else died, and the first time I played it, everyone died. So you are the first person to have won that game, and I loved it because there was so many twists and turns in that game. Uh, just a
Yeah,
bunch of
villains.
funny. Yeah, just everyone out to kill each other. That was a rip roaring good time. I love board game Among Us.
My low point was pushing my brother-in-law in his wheelchair.
That's right.
Alien.
We were really destroying that guy. Oh my God. The wacky stuff we were doing to Ryan. To be fair, Ryan initiated it. Ryan struck first. So all of us.
Yeah, Ryan is historically a heel.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, he was just continuing to heal things.
Exactly. Fantastic heel.
Yeah. And then since we had some time between the last episode and this one, so we had some time to kind of catch up on stuff. I actually ended up starting and finishing a manga that was along the same genre of Our Roots Lead to Doom.
Really?
Because I actually am a fan of the genre if it's done well.
Okay.
Oh
Okay.
boy.
I love it. I love it.
So I actually I wanted to do this, and I found it by accident, but it was very highly rated. So I was like, all right, let's just see. And it just reminded me of why I like this genre, because we'll get to it. I was like, I'm embarrassed that I like this genre. And then I remember my mom watches these kinds of things too. So I was like, oh, you know what? I kind of grew up watching these, just like translated videos from, Korea and China and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was really great though. It's called Miss Not So Sidekick.
Okay. Tell me about it.
It's a manhwa, actually. So
oh,
it's
manhwa.
Korean.
Okay.
And fantastic. And we'll talk on that. I'd probably sprinkle it in as kind of a foil to All Routes Lead to Doom. But yeah, that was my other consumed media. Other than that, Paul's starting Legend of Korra.
Ooh.
Oh, fun.
He has never seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So I've never watched it. I also haven't watched The Last Airbender. I think I talked about this on the first episode. Well, I've watched the first book of The Last Airbender. But I'll touch on that a little bit when I get to my recent stuff. But that's cool. Is he liking it so far?
He's already sucked in.
He's already sucked in? Alright, fantastic. Because I remember when that was coming out, it had that whole thing where, like, people didn't like it, right? And then, like...
Well,
what's up?
Yeah, if you wanted Avatar: The Last Airbender Part 2, this wasn't it.
Yeah.
Right. It does its own thing.
Yeah. And then when people, like, accepted it as something on its own, they really liked it, right? Isn't that what... Is that what you guys would say what happened?
Oh, for sure. Because it breaks the rules of the world of Avatar, because that's not the same world. Like, there's elements borrowed, but that's like saying, why didn't Snow White... No, I need another princess. Why didn't Cinderella, like, fall asleep and a prince kisses her and that's how she survives? Because that's what happened with Snow White and Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
You know? Like, why didn't it follow the rules that we're used to?
Yeah.
Because it's its own story. You know, borrows some things, Prince Charming and all that, but different.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, I love that. What about you, Rob? What have you been up to? What mischief have you wrought?
Mischief. No, I've been a good little weeb and just been watching anime in my home.
Okay.
So I had a night a couple of weeks ago where, like, for me, when it comes to watching anime, it's always hard for me to get started, but once I finally hit that play button, I'm like sucked in. Like I can just lose a whole night to it. So I had a day where I was just like, I'm not really doing anything. Let me just catch up on like a lot of things I'm supposed to be following, right? So barring anything that aired today, which I think is like the newest Oshinoko and Demon Slayer.
Yep.
I'm pretty much caught up on both of those. So as far as Demon Slayer goes, I really like this arc. It's probably not my favorite so far. But I do see like what you mean, Asher, in terms of like the villains are just evil. Like there's not like a lot to them.
Yeah.
Right. But I kind of appreciate that they're just like, we just want to fuck shit up.
Yeah, you don't
for
need,
the sake of fucking shit up.
You don't always need like the villain with the tragic backstory that you have to relate to.
Right.
Some people are just like bad.
And we get that a lot out of this show. Like they try to humanize like a lot of the villains that you see, right? But as far as like at least the two that are like presented here, so far, they're just that shit insane.
Yeah, they're going off.
They're just going off, and I'm like, I'm kind of here for this nonsense. And it's a season that gets started like very quickly.
It does.
It's kind of like basically at the end of episode 1, episode 2, it's just like escalation, let's fucking go.
Yep.
And the way that it sort of tells like our protagonist stories within all of that, like they find a way to weave some of that sort of slower narration of a character story.
Yep.
With like the Hashiras in there, while still maintaining like a very quick pace of like shit is still popping off like present day.
Yeah.
I really like the balance that they're striking. I know there was a lot of, or a little bit of uproar on some of like the 3D CG stuff that they're using for a few of the enemies in this season.
I've seen some of the clips and I was like, yeah, that doesn't look great.
I think, as I'm like swept up in watching it, I think it looks fine.
Okay.
Like, I wasn't turned off by it like when I first saw it. I was just swept up in like what's going on, and I'm like, you know what, this is fine.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's like the most amazing CG that even Ufotable has ever done.
Sure.
But I do think it fits well within the show as you're watching it. So I think people were kind of like blowing that a little hard out of proportion.
People always try to find
but that's how people are, right?
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying it. I look forward to see how this concludes. I think we're on like episode 8 as far as this season goes.
Close.
So we're close. There's probably like 4-ish more, right? I think it's a 12 episode season for the most part. For most anime, it's 12.
Yep.
And then we're gonna get some kind of crazy stinger at the end, I'm sure, and I'll have to hold these feelings for another year.
Oh yeah. As a person who has read the manga, I remember. Yeah.
I'm sure there's gonna be something
curious.
there every time. Every season, it's like it ends on something good, and I'm just like, fuck, I gotta hold this for like another year.
Yeah, it's gonna be a whole thing. So I haven't started it because I want it to kind of finish and just
and just binge it.
Yeah, just binge it. You know.
I understand.
Because I'm not gonna be like surprised. I mean, like I'm gonna be in awe of the animation, you know, week to week probably. But I kind of just want to eat it all because I know what happens, right? So
yeah,
you know,
for sure. I do like I like the Hashira Tokito.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would at first. And that was like the same with like Ringo. That was the same with like most of them, honestly. I didn't think I would like them at first, and then by the point where I'm at now, and like you get like the meaning of his name.
Yes.
And I'm just like, oh, you're my son. Please don't die.
The name of the game in that show, whenever a major arc starts up, is like meeting these characters and being like, please don't die.
Please don't die.
They've set a precedent, you know.
And like I don't know. They can go either way with it. So I'm very excited for that. Oshinoko caught up on that. Have you caught up yet, Asher?
No.
That was your assignment?
No, because I've been running around doing stuff. I'll watch it. I'll watch it after the cast today.
I'm gonna come over and we're gonna watch it together.
Do you want to?
I will.
All right, fantastic.
All right, good plan.
We've set up after, so I need to. I've only seen episode 1, and I was blown away by it. In fact, I needed to rest after that. So I will watch every episode and catch up because I love it.
I am very impressed where the show is going.
Hell yeah!
It's like you kind of position it as like it's kind of an idol anime, right? But like it's not really. It's like more about the entertainment industry as a whole.
I think it's fun to pitch it though as like
it's fun to pitch it as an idol anime because like the first character you're kind of introduced is an idol, right? Yeah. And like this is like the starting off point, but it goes so much harder into like different aspects of the entertainment industry.
There's a lot of stuff about acting.
There's a lot of stuff about acting and like not just making like TV and films, but also like you're getting into like what is it like to put together a reality TV show.
Yeah.
And like the different personalities you get from in that. It's like not everybody is an actor. Some are here as like a model, or some people are here as a YouTuber, and like what their careers are like.
Exactly.
And then like how people consume that, and also how the dark side of that.
Yeah, the dark side of it.
You know, of like social media and how that impacts like the actors or the people in those roles, right? It's fascinating. Every episode is really, really interesting. I highly, highly recommend it so far.
Yes.
Very curious to see where it goes. I don't know if like I almost feel like the subplots that are happening, I'm way more into than like the overall story, right? But they haven't really taken the overall plot forward much.
Yeah.
Right? They're still kind of setting that stuff up, and it's like it's hard to talk about that because like it's something that I don't want to spoil.
And people should just like experience.
Just go into Oshinoko. One day we'll do a spoiler cast on it because I do want to
that'd be cool.
Deep into it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely positioning itself as like one of my favorite things I've watched in quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah. We love that for Aka Akasaka-san.
True.
Who's just
absolutely
like
hit her.
Finished Kaguya-sama and just like took off with something crazy. Like just you know, doesn't draw anymore. Which we love that because now he doesn't have to deal with that mangaka lifestyle.
Right.
And just gets to tell a story. Like sick, you know?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Absolutely. And then I also watched and caught up to Skip and Loafer, which is probably my my slice of life filling of this season. And it's giving me all of the good feelings.
I can't wait to watch that. I haven't watched it yet, but it's OP. Just
lives rent free.
Yeah.
Rent free in my head.
Rent free in my head sends me over the moon.
It's great. It's on that same energy as like a Wotakoi opening.
Yep.
That is just like there are aspects of the opening that is just it's cute, it's adorable. It has fun little dance motions in there that just like lives rent free in my head.
Yep.
But it's a very simple story of just like a country girl going to school in Tokyo and just finding her way. Like she is kind of a shy individual, right? And she bumps into a guy that is also just kind of like drifting in life, right? He clearly has like some trauma he's working through, but he's kind of just like an aloof. He's like, I'm skipping school today, whatever.
Yeah.
And they just happen to like run into each other, and just you kind of just see a friendship bloom within that, right? And it's not like they don't push so hard into like, oh, this is like a romance thing. Like, it's not one character setting out to be like, oh, I'm going to make them my boyfriend or my girlfriend and whatnot. It's just like you're just seeing a wholesome friendship form between these two that probably would never actually become friends outside of this awkward circumstance that they found themselves in.
Yeah.
And they're finding like comfort within that. And then you get to like the broader cast members of just like different backgrounds that again would seemingly not become friends with one another, and you just see friendships bloom within all of them, right? It's very, very good. I eat that up.
I need it.
I eat it up. It gives me the good feels.
I need it.
But that's basically it. I started rewatching Lycoris Recoil.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
We love Lycoris Recoil here.
Yeah.
Does Drew like it?
So far, he's in. I pitched it as Lycoris Recoil is just sound euphonium. And he's like, Rob, but why do they have guns? Why do these schoolgirls have guns? And I'm like, they don't have guns. What are you talking about? He's like, I see them shooting guns. I'm like, no. It's just a story of two girls that love each other. Don't worry about the rest of this.
Gun girl anime.
It's just wholesome.
It is wholesome. It's actually really surprisingly wholesome.
What is
Lycoris Recoil?
Jenny's face.
So it's a
Licorice what?
Recoil.
Recoil.
Yeah. Never know these titles.
Never know.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Licorice?
Yeah.
Girls with guns.
It's a gun girl anime.
They don't have guns. There's no guns.
But it is very good.
It's wholesome.
And it is wholesome. That's not a wrong statement, even though we're chortling about it.
You know, someone gets shot within the first 5 minutes of the show, but
it's still wholesome. Yeah, exactly, Lee. They have love, not guns.
Exactly. Love, not guns. That's what we preach here.
Well, I love that. And I love that Drew is picking that up and putting it down. Because I can't wait for the second season. It's also really cool, right? Because that's an original animation. It's not a manga. So specifically designed for television. And I don't know. That stuff's really cool. All right. What have I been up to? Because... So, like, we have a lot more to talk about because we have taken that, like, 1 episode break. So, it's been a month since we last, like, hung out. And especially, like, in the second weeks, I was like, okay, I'm gonna cram more stuff in. And, like, in that time, I, like, traveled to LA, traveled to Atlanta, and then just have been doing a bunch of stuff. Played a ton of Magic the Gathering, which I'm only talking about because the current arc is very anime.
Hey, they have anime cards. I've seen them.
They have straight up anime cards. And let me tell you, I've been eating that up. I won't go too much into it because then we should be a card game podcast. But no.
When is the JSB card game podcast? I mean, listen, I can listen to you, Elias, and Derek talk about Magic.
Just for forever. Oh my god! Theory, set reviews and stuff. That could be fun.
I'm saying.
We'll put it in the Shark Tank.
Put another one in the bucket.
Put another one in the bucket. Know that it's good, and if you like anime, and you like card games, you probably like Magic the Gathering right now. Convinced.
The other caveat of that is that you need money.
You do need money to get started, but depending on what you are playing in Magic, you might not need money after that. You might not. It depends on what you want to do. I have explicitly told my homies, don't play Standard. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of money. But anyway, I digress. I convinced, speaking of Elias, I when I was in LA, I brought up that we watched Paranoia Agent, and I remembered how much I like it. And Elias is a television guy, right? He's written a television show, so like I was like, dude, I think you gotta watch Paranoia Agent, man.
He's never seen it?
He's never seen it, and I was like, you gotta watch it. I feel like you would really like it.
We should do a group watch. I would like to be in on that as he's watching Paranoia Agent.
I really want Elias's thoughts on Paranoia Agent.
Yeah.
So I would really eat that stuff up. Started Vox Machina because of Jenny's recommendation.
It's on my watch list. I'm gonna get to it too.
A blast. The most upsetting thing about it is that it makes me want to play Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm not currently consistently playing Dungeons and Dragons. I will say starting Frosthaven will scratch that itch, and that's great. But I don't know. It's just, it really nails the kind of like Dungeons and Dragons group aesthetic while also telling like a story. But you see the moments where they're like doing stuff that you're doing in the game, you know, and I love that. I started Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin. And I'm watching it with a friend who you might know her, Jess, who still moderates for Pixel Hearts but no longer streams with Pixel Hearts. She actually works for DreamWorks, so she works in the animation industry. And Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin is pretty much just like an allegory for Masaki Yuasa, Satoshi Kon in the Madhouse animation system. And like it's about these 3 girls. They want to make an anime. 2 of them want to be animators, and then one of them like is like, oh, I just want money, and this seems like an opportunity for money. And she's very clearly she's very clearly the producer. She's probably my favorite character in the show. I love all 3 of them. I think they're like really sweet, but her as the producer character, they really like make the caricature, you know, it's fun because it's a high school girl and not some sleazy old Hollywood man. It's her like tricking the student council into giving them money, you know, like, and stuff like that. And there's something really fun about that, because then she also like doesn't understand animation to the same extent that these two other girls do, right. But she tries to. She tries to like understand where they're coming from. And she'll ask them questions like, well, why couldn't we do this in this time frame? She's definitely like what I think an ideal producer would be. Not the ones that just have like, they know nothing about what they're getting into, you know, and they just want money strictly. She definitely wants money, but it's also like, okay, there are roadblocks, and they understand the roadblocks way more than me, because this is something that they want to do. And then understanding those roadblocks, I can, you know, why don't we get help from the art club to do these backgrounds? Do you have to draw every background? Why is that necessary? You know, like, she's asking all the right questions, and it's riveting to see, especially with someone who works in the animation industry, especially one, you know, as prestigious as DreamWorks, and her to just be like, it's crazy how real this is. And it's about 3 high school girls, you know, and so I've been eating that up. I think if you are a fan of anime and you would love to learn more about the creation of anime, I don't think I've seen anything better than Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin. It's amazing, and they do it all in the backdrop of high schoolers, which makes it even more fun and silly.
Have you ever watched Shirobaka?
No, what's Shirobaka?
Shirobaka is a very similar thing, where it's about an anime production company trying to put together a film, and everything that goes into that. So I think hearing you talk about Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin, I think you'll really like Shirobaka as well. Like, it came out, I want to say like 2015, somewhere around there.
Okay.
But I feel like it was one of, if not the first, but definitely like pioneered the idea of like really taking a good look at what goes into the production of this stuff.
Yes.
Through an anime, right? And did a really good job of it. If you ever wanna watch that, I'm due for a rewatch, honestly.
Hell so yeah, I've written it down.
Put that on the docket.
Put it on the list. And then 2 more things. So speaking of Avatar, I watched Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse yesterday, and the reason I'm saying speaking of Avatar is because this film is actually directed by the person who directed most of The Last Airbender. It is which makes sense to me, having only seen the first book, because the stuff they do at the end of that first book, I was like, this is so wildly experimental for a kid's show to me. Like, it really surprised me when they were doing the black and white like moon stuff, and to see Across the Spider-Verse come out and the stuff it does, the expressive animation, it's insane to me that this is still within the spirit of the first Spider-Man Miles Morales movie, while also being somehow pushing the limits of what animation could be again. It reminds me of like Mob Psycho on crack. Like, it's just like they were like, what can we do mixed media wise that works? And people won't be like taken out of the story. They buy into it completely. And it is phenomenal. It has surprisingly usurped John Wick 4 as my favorite film of the year so far. And I'm going to watch it again tomorrow in IMAX. So
I think it might be my favorite animated movie like of all time. The more I sit on it, like, it's hard to put anything else above it, honestly. That film blew me the fuck away.
Yeah.
Like, there's just like imagery, like the art direction behind it. There are moments where like I am tearing up, and it is not an emotional scene. It's just because what is in front of me just strikes a core within me, and I'm just like, this is some of the most beautiful just imagery I've ever seen.
It is.
It's insane to me.
Yeah, I cannot encourage anybody to watch it enough, especially like since the whole superhero craze is a little bit like, how should I say, like dulled a little bit. You know, it's suffering from fatigue, so it's hard to get a consistent reason, I guess, to like keep watching them. Um, but man, the stuff this movie does is so mind blowing. Um, and there's a lot of like deep thinking about it too, about what it means to be Spider-Man and what it means to be alone. Um, I don't know, man. I could go on forever about that one, but it's not a movie podcast. It's an anime podcast. So I will just say, if you're a fan of animation in general, I think I think Spider-Man, you should definitely give it a watch. Um, and then the last thing is I finished Uma Musume to the top.
Hell yeah.
Our favorite horse girl anime. I watched it with Rob on like Saturday, so yesterday.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
I forced Drew to watch it last night, so I am fresh off of it again for like the 5th time.
Yeah, and you know, shed a couple tears for that episode. Did full horse research after that, like had to research the real life horses, and just riveting stuff, dude. Or a great bite-sized story too.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Kakegurui sees Kakegurui twin, so much better. Like,
Yes.
as a side story, infinitely better. And I'll take those. So keep making more of those. If you're gonna make a Kakegurui twin, just do 12 episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the stuff that I've been doing. Shall we get to what I feel like will be Jenny's favorite segment? Talking about our most recent show that we've watched. My Next Life as a Villainess. All routes lead to doom.
Doom.
So, Jenny, you've expressed that you actually like this genre. Can you tell me about like what's your history with this genre? Why did you say that you like this genre?
So I don't like harem necessarily, but I
Okay.
have a history of liking a few harem animes. Around Host Club, right?
Yeah.
It's like uh one of the most popular ones. And then I really like isekais. So
Yep.
I've watched pretty much every isekai that was like on Netflix for a hot minute. And then some that are like still not done. Log Horizon is one of the oldest ones that I got into. Uh, I think in a weird way, Yu Yu Hakusho could be seen as an isekai.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
I'll
kind
see-
of
I
to
can see
start.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like the worlds are actually blended together, but your whole world changes, and that's kind of the first rule of writing is to define the rules of the world.
Yeah.
And so when the world completely changes because of an event, I mean that's in essence an isekai.
Mhm.
Then like Overlord's a really good one.
I've heard good things about Overlord.
Hilarious. It's really funny.
Mhm.
That's usually what hilarious means.
Thanks, Rob.
Oh man. And yeah, so I was looking forward to one that actually combines maybe aspects of some things that I like. Like I like first of all when it's described as a harem anime, I'm like okay, I'm already like, but then it's like an isekai anime. I'm like, I read those. So I read a lot of webtoons or comics that are all isekais. Like it's always they die at the beginning because from their previous life and they reincarnate as XYZ.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for those. So I was thinking, okay, cool. There's a chance that I'll like this one a lot.
Okay. Very cool. What about you, Rob? What's your history with harems and isekai?
So this is kind of like a double negative for me. So like it's hard for me to get into an isekai. I'm not a big fan of the genre. But again, there are some that like can do it well or that I get into, right? Like Jenny mentioned, Overlord is a good one. I do like stuff like that. But and also like harem is another one where I'm just like I'm kind of over this. Like I feel like you see one, you kind of see them all, and I'm just kind of like, and for a hot minute, that's like really what every show was each anime season, especially like I feel like in like the early 2010s or something like that. It was everywhere, right? And I had my fill like when I was younger with like Love Hina in some other older anime stuff,
Love
right?
Hina.
Like date myself a little bit, but but it's like I had my fill of that when I was younger, and then as I got older, I'm like kind of boring to me now. But I can be sold on it if there's like a good spin or something on it. So like I like Oron Host Club, right? I thought that was great.
Yes.
So there are some good stuff in there, but rarely do I take the time to even look for it because the genre as a whole is kind of like
sure.
So someone has like really forced it down my throat.
No quintessential quintuplets for Rob.
That's not gonna happen. But I will happily listen to you and Drew and Carrie talk about it. But I'm just kind of
Drew still hasn't watched it, right?
He hasn't watched it, but he's into like the character or whatever. Like he can buy into it, right? It's something he wants to watch. Yeah. And I'm just like,
me and Carrie have watched it. Who else? Nick, I think, also watched it. Me and Nick had a whole back and forth in New York. It was like, no, it should have been this girl. No, it should have been this girl. You know, like, and it's just really funny.
And I'm over here just like,
no, dude, you loved it. Yeah, we were in the figure shop, and I was like, this girl.
Just like fucking nerds.
Okay. Well.
So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to sell me on both genres.
So what about Lee brings it up in chat. What about otome games? Specifically, the visual novel style, like harem games. Did you guys play any of those?
It's funny because like I'm big into visual novels.
So
it's kind of weird saying like, oh, I don't like harem anime, but I do like visual novels. But even then, visual novels, I'm like very picky about which ones. And usually like the character routes that are available has to be like really well written, right? In the same way as if you're reading like a good book or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And there's some really great ones out there. My Life as a Villainess, you know.
This is gonna give you some whiplash. Did you like Katawa Shoujo?
I do like Katawa Shoujo, actually. I did enjoy Katawa Shoujo.
I really liked Katawa Shoujo. Have you heard of Katawa Shoujo, Jennii? It was a visual novel, I want to say in the late 2000s. About there was a harem game, but all the girls were handicapped in some way. Like one of them was blind, one of them had like a burned face.
One had no legs.
And it was so fascinating at the time because like I think it was made by 4chan.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was made by members of 4chan.
Yeah.
And immediately that sets off like red flags, which are just
absolutely
like, this is going to be like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
And then you come to like read it, and it's handled pretty well. Like it's handled with care in a way that like I was not expecting at
honestly
all.
A miracle.
Actually a miracle.
Out of the cesspool that is 4chan, this like actual game that really cared about like portraying these characters, and kind of like who they are as people, and then you know what this condition is to them, and then you having a character that you know grows to like care for them. Pretty cool. And I think when I think of like joy with any of that stuff, because I'm not a heavy visual novel like gamer or otome game player or anything like that, I have played that, and it's one of my more fond memories of it. Okay, so that being said, it sounds like I'm getting vibes. My vibe check, my vibe detector is like going off. It doesn't seem like Jennii liked it, All Roots Lead to Doom, and it doesn't seem like, am I getting this right? Rob, you also did not like it. He's rolling his eyes.
I would lean more towards I don't.
Okay. Let's pick up. So we've established like our past experiences, what we like. What is this lacking in comparison to the other stuff? Where does it like fumble the bag? Like, what's wrong here? Why don't you like it?
Ooh, Jennii.
Jenny's raising her hand. The classic.
Um, I think it starts with already there's that strong uphill battle for a good harem anime.
Hmm.
If you've seen one, you've seen them all. I
Okay.
completely agree with that. So when they do something unique is where it'll get your attention.
Okay.
Um, I'm curious if you think there was anything unique about this one that made it stand out, Asher.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I
Uh,
think I think so. Even though like I would say harem isekais are much more, um, they're common now. I would say they it's much more recent than like just harems alone, standalone, or just isekai standalone. I think like combining the two, um, is a more recent development. Um, so I'm not saying it's like brand new in this aspect, but it is like a fresher idea, at least to me. But I think the fresher thing it is that it is leaning much more into the bisexual power fantasy of it. I think. I don't think we always get lead character, um, and then like the male leads and the female leads both like her, and that she can have her pick of the litter for especially like this is easy like team bait stuff. Like definitely on either side, whether it's the men or the women, people can people can root for. I think there are definitely like, especially like talking to people who do like it, um, they have their biases in this whole thing, whether it's a man or a woman, and I think that is so cool. Um,
Mhm.
so that's the primary thing I would say. She is like she is like a she's a bimbo. Let's use that term. I love bimbos. I love himbos. She's so stupid, and she's completely oblivious to the fact that like she has all of this like in front of her. Um, and in that way, just like a lot of isekais, which are power fantasies, um, that's where it gets that aspect of the isekai, along with like disruption of the status quo, um, in her character, while also having the harem stuff. Um, so that's what I think makes it unique. Um, yeah, you didn't think that was really unique?
no, because there was nothing that there was significance to her situation that makes her harem situation pulled from the isekai part of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're gonna put those two things together, you have to think about what can an isekai do that a harem typically wouldn't have been able to do, and then what is a harem doing that an isekai typically wouldn't. Um, like I think it would have been more clever to pull from her past life more,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's like maybe she if we gave a reason for why she's so dumb about it, like maybe she's um never dated someone in her life, or like if they really pulled like from her previous life and that led to the lack of awareness, maybe
Mm-hmm.
if it could have fleshed her out as more of a character, because you have this entire previous life she could have pulled from of reference, and then no, she's actually just completely immersed in this world.
Yeah.
So there's a lost opportunity in terms of the isekai part of things. And then for the harem, um pretty standard. Like, if she does come from another world, technically, she could actually really accidentally stand out. Like, have knowledge of things or have this perspective on things that other people wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
because of her previous life. But it wasn't there. She was obsessed with this world, even as a child. Being like, "Nope, I'm a villain." God, I hated how much she repeated that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then she didn't do anything villainous either, so even less things to feel like
Well, was it?
there was anything true to how it was like the story was set up.
Well, wasn't wasn't the whole thing that she doesn't want to end up like the character, right? From the story that she knows. So that's why she doesn't end up doing anything villainous. And for me, that's what made it, I guess, like, fun for me, was that, like, you can look back at it all. She was never going to end up like the video game character. She never was, because she is a good person. Like, that's what it was at the end of the day. All these characters that are affected by her character in what she knew of the game, they're dealing with, like, a villainess, which is not who she is. And so, like, she spends this time worrying about it all, that she cannot tell that, like, whatever she was going to do, it was never going to end up the way she thought it was. And that's another part where not only is she dumb in terms of relationships, she's dumb in, like, not seeing that, like, this isn't a problem. You know, people just like her.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have someone actually in chat who's a big fan of the show, and I'm very curious as to, you know, she just has some input, and I think it would be fun to, like, get an outsider's perspective. She's saying, like, Hamefura kicked off the whole villainess thing. That's a different, like, anime. And she says, in terms of, like, this show, I think also getting into the childhood trauma and the bisexuality and her obliviousness reads more authentic to me, because she's got this, like, rejection sensitivity thing going on. Oh, and then she says the novels have alternating internal monologues, so you get more of the past life stuff. So this is certainly a situation where we are adapting something, right? And so you're kind of wishing that, like, it had more of that stuff, and you would feel better about the decisions she's made if it had that stuff in there.
The context was completely missing. She exists this way because she just does. That's how it felt the entire show. So for her to just blatantly have, like, give the impression that she's just gonna do these things because it's like whim, it becomes almost manic pixie girlish. And that's just not, that doesn't give me a character I really want to follow or like root for, right? That's been a theme that we've carried through all of the shows. Is there a main character that we actually care about?
Yeah. And so you don't care for this character. Rob, what about you? You don't like her?
I'm very neutral.
You're very neutral.
It's like she's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's like it's far from, like, the best thing I've ever seen. It's just like she's there.
Yeah.
Right. There are some situations that she's in that I find funny in some ways. Like any interaction she has with her mom, I think is very funny, because she's trying to go become a farmer just in case things don't work out. And I'm like, that's an alright bit.
It's funny that you brought that up, because I had wondered if her mom would be, like, this weirdly terrifying looming threat.
Yeah.
She's never that.
No.
She's always just kind of like, God, my daughter somehow became, like, really dumb.
Yeah. No.
And then, like, you know, we gotta like, punish her, and I do love that bit.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cute bit.
Yeah.
Every time she's off to, like, I'm gonna practice farming, I'm like, all right, sure.
Yeah.
But, like, outside of that, like, I don't really, like, care for a lot of, like, her interactions with a lot of the other characters. I think it's very just kind of bland. Like, and for shows like this, or just in general, really, I want to really like the entire cast, or, like, a lot of characters, or at least find a character that I latch onto.
Yeah.
And here, like, even the prospects for her, like, all of the male characters are just like, y'all are whatever. Like, no, I find none of them to be, like, interesting in any sort of fashion.
Yeah.
And even, like, their bits are just, like, kind of falling flat for me. Every once in a while, I think it's pretty pretty funny at times where like the brother character and the fiance, like he's cock blocking the fiance, and I'm like, okay, that's very funny. Like,
oh yeah.
he just keeps showing up to cock block him every time. I'm like, all right, that's a bit.
they play with the camera
Right.
with that too, right? So they'll have the prince in the carriage, and then she's in the carriage, and then they're talking, and then middle of the conversation, he'll be like, "Does he have to be here?" And then like the camera cuts to the wide, and he's like, "Yeah, because I don't know what you're gonna do."
Yeah, exactly, right. So I'm like, all right, that's that gets a little chuckle out of me.
Yeah.
But like those moments where like I get that chuckle feel pretty few and far between,
sure.
Right? And even though like those two as characters, I don't really care for either of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the prince is like a scumbag, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like the only like good boy here is like Alan. He's just kind of like chilling, playing the piano, and I'm like, all right, you're just
Alan.
Alan. Just Alan.
It's just
like,
Alan. His name is Alan. Out of the boys, I do agree that at least to me, he's my favorite boy.
Like he doesn't come off as like creepy or anything. He's just like a dude.
He is just
right?
a dude. Yeah.
Even when they're kids, and he's just like, I'm gonna beat you climbing this tree, and I'm just like, you know what? They're just kids being kids.
He's a very
just
that stuff is very childish. Like he was very kid there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, Alan. Go on with your life.
Yeah.
Just, you don't need to be caught up in all of this. Go live your best life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But everybody else, I'm kind of whatever. Yeah, it's just as the cast is just falls flat for me. So it's very hard for me to like really get into it.
So give me an example of like good harem casts.
That's hard. I'd have to like really sit and think.
Jennii, give me an example of a good harem cast. And why it's a good harem cast.
The only one I know.
Huh?
The only one I know is Oran.
Is Oran.
Is Oran,
so what makes Oran click though? Why is Oran great?
The writing is going to be a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Their dialogue, their banter is fantastic. There's a lot of relationship building immediately. And everyone has their strengths, obviously, and then their flaws.
Mm-hmm.
And then their I guess their backstories too that get shared pretty organically are without being forced, right? We don't have to hear about somebody's like tragedies or whatever. They're relatable, like and it's kind of and it's done almost ironically because they are told that they have to. It's like if we took a world and we built them, we were like, okay, but you have to be this trope, okay? You just have to be the homosexual twin lovers, like incestuous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do that, But then it built. We still see them as human though, despite that,
Yeah.
So even though they do that crap, it's like.
I mean, it's a front for these women, right? It's like a front for the women that are coming into this club.
So you realize they have to commit.
Yeah, exactly.
And boy, do they commit! So even their pranks, though, they'll commit, and it made them like it was almost like a redemption for how awkward that could be.
Yeah.
It was redeeming because it's like it really is just a giant prank to them, and they're just bored.
Yeah.
And then that they hold Tamaki story to the end. His is actually
people love Tamaki.
Mm-hmm.
People love Tamaki.
Yeah.
I'm not Team Tamaki, so.
Oh yeah.
I like the who's the twin that did not run off screaming? Who's the level-headed twin?
I think it's run off screaming. They both do it at some point. The one who did date her or no?
The one who didn't date her. That's the one that I like. Because he was so much more level. Yeah, I think it's Hikaru. I think he's so much more level-headed about that entire situation, but also incredibly understanding about what was going on and kind of like being isolated in your own place. Only having one other person to be your friend. I felt that because of me and my sister growing up and traveling around all the time. Sometimes my only friend was my sister. And so it was a very natural fit for me to be like, that's the boy. But also, I've read enough harems that none of the twins ever win. They'll get me if they do.
in a way, he did. He was the first one to actually officially go on a date with her.
That's true. That's true.
Take wins.
Take
Take the W
Yeah.
when you can.
We won the battle.
And they realized that they weren't that great for each other, you know. So there was an honesty behind that. So there was a lot of again, though, it comes down to the writing. The writing was fan-freaking-tastic, because even the campy lines were campy on purpose.
Yeah.
Like all the things that Tamaki says to the girls. He's like, I'd love to bask myself in your light on a Sunday floating on the river.
Okay.
Could we always be like this?
So what could, in your opinion, what could my next life as a villainess? Because now, after the first season, right, we are past the Doom Flag stuff, or at least like we are past the point of where the game supposedly takes place. What is there something that show could do narratively to salvage it? Does it have any potential with what we have here, or are we in like an irredeemable spot for you? Are these characters just not that interesting, nor could they ever be that interesting?
Raising the hand.
Jennii.
I was looking. I'm staring at Rob. I'm like,
I thought it was directed to Jennii.
Oh, it was directed at Jennii. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
The stakes were not high enough. There was no real danger from the get-go because she resolves all of the holes and the gaps even before she thought she had.
Yeah.
You know, and she's still panicking, having her little Lizzie McGuire tabletop, round table conferences with herself. There was no risk at that point. There were no stakes. How bad was it going to be? We had plenty of time. So there was nothing that really made me feel like she's actually at risk. There's anything actually of concern. I would actually say there were stakes in Oran. One, hiding her identity was like a thing that they were all really, they really had to work hard, and that was like the thing that brought them together and collaborative. Was hiding Haruhi's
identity.
Gender. Yeah. And then how do you do that while you're also falling for him when you're like, but I run this whole thing about hosting women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Interesting. Okay, so a little bit more of an element of a threat. Maybe a feeling that we're not quite out of the woods yet, because that's the feeling you get when it's all over, right? We're out of the woods, even though the threat, as you say, was like never there, which I agree with, and which was fun for me, only because the character was too dumb to realize that the threat was never there in the first place.
I do like dumb characters, Asher.
Because they're charming. Ask me and my sister. My sister loves a good himbo. I also love a good himbo. Just like if they're nice people, I don't see any issue. You don't have to be the smartest person on earth. If you're a sweetheart, you're a sweetheart. That's how I feel.
Perfect face reaction right there.
That's my opinion. If you're good people, you're good people, and you don't have to be the smartest one in the room. I'll love you.
I think
why do you hang out with me?
Well, I that doesn't mean I hate smart people.
No, I'm not nice.
You know what? You're nice to me. And so I take that and I roll with it. I enjoy it.
You know what? I think Paul says the same thing, actually.
Yeah? You're nice to me? And then, of course, we get into a game like Nemesis, and we're, like, backstabbing each other, and, we're...
Hey, I did it at the very end.
You did, and it was great, and that I love. But I get it, yeah. What were you gonna say, Rob? You were gonna say something, I think?
Oh, I forgot.
Because we were talking about dumb characters, dumb people.
Oh, dumb characters, dumb people, and all that. I think as long as it goes back to like the writing, right? Like as long as like the writing around the character is good, then like I don't care if they're dumb or whatever. Like I can love any character.
Yeah.
But like are the bits that they're putting these characters in if you're going for a comedy, is it funny?
Yeah.
Right. That'll get me in the door. Do you have like good writing behind like their motivations of the character, the background, right? Are you putting that forward? That can get me. Like there's various ways where like you can sell me on a character. I don't need all of those.
Yeah.
But you need to give me one of those.
Yeah.
Right. and I feel like this show doesn't really give me any of those.
Any of them.
Right.
It doesn't fire away on any of them.
Or I'm very like neutral towards it. So like with the main character, I'm very neutral towards her.
Yeah.
And that doesn't persuade me to like watch more. You know? Like I'm not like yeah, I need to go in here because I like her. It's just it's whatever.
Yeah.
You know? I do think even though it's not where it goes, I think a setup for like another season, or at least that would have caught my eye, honestly, is if like, so sometimes visual novels will get like a sequel or a fan disc or like some sort of omake version of it.
Okay.
Right. I if there was a second game that was released that she did not play, that she got thrusted into, right, that like continues these routes, and there is doom there, so like, you can reestablish the stakes.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like she does not know what's coming because she did not get a chance to play.
She has zero preparation for this. Yeah, she did. Oh yeah, she didn't have the fan disc. Yeah.
She didn't have the fan disc, so she doesn't know where this OVA chapter is going to go and how again this character is going to meet her doom. Like you can reestablish that, and I think that would be kind of fun to play around in. Like you have another chance to make this hit.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the show does that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I assume it does not do that.
Yeah.
But that could be a scenario where I'm like, okay, maybe we'll try this again. I don't have high hopes.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll try this again.
I'll munch it, and I'll give it a taste before
we'll see.
You
know.
You can don't tell me Princess Ozeline, because I'm gonna take the time. I actually like it because I'll eat that shit up. So I'll go out of my way and I'll learn it myself. But I appreciate you providing an answer if we wanted one for Rob. I'll do my parsing so that I don't get spoiled on it, and then
when you go through it, let me know.
Yeah.
Like I don't really mind being spoiled on it, but I would like to get your fresh takes on it and where it goes.
I'll give you a fresh take on it, and I'll do it on the cast, Princess. So, just to get that out of the way. Because me personally, I just, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you Quintessential Quintuplets is the greatest thing that I've ever read. It belongs up there with Paranoia Agent, or anything like that. I'm gonna be real about it, but at the end of the day, what I like is what I like, and weirdly,
you can have fun with a thing.
Yeah. I do have fun with this thing. I weirdly am surrounded by a number of people who really do like this thing. Like the person who I'm watching Keep Your Hands Off Ice Again, Jess. I was like, the next episode is on My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom, and she just busted out like, oh my god, I love that one. I think it's so fun. And then I'm like, hell yeah, that's cool. Mad love to that. But also, you know what? I get it. As a person who is in that quintessential quintuplets hole, as a person who loves Kiss Him Not Me, Kiss
Him Not Me is great. You know what? I do love Kiss Him Not Me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That would be the last one that I loved. Yes. Yes. I like that one.
Have you heard of Kiss Him Not Me, Jennii?
Nope.
Kiss Him Not Me is about a girl who is a fujoshi. Do you know what a fujoshi is?
Mm-mm.
So it's a fujoshi. I think it roughly translates to like dirty girl. Is that what it translates to?
Like rotten girl.
Rotten girl. That's right. Mm-hmm. And essentially, she loves boys love. She loves like boys love manga and like shows and stuff like that.
And usually it's like deep in there. Like when we think of like the hardcore otaku, it is like that.
Like a gremlin. Absolutely.
Like a gremlin.
Yeah. Fucking filthy freak. And essentially she isn't particularly spectacular. Nobody like much cares for her, but on one of her shows, her favorite like character dies, and she has to like disappear for a time, and because she's just so like distraught over it. But when she like comes back to school, she like had lost all this weight and like all this stuff, and all of a sudden like all the different guys find her attractive, and so she's all of a sudden caught in this situation where like just all these dudes, all these hot guys really are like gravitate towards her, And then as she becomes friends with them, she's like, oh, I kind of want them to kiss.
She doesn't want any of that.
She doesn't want any. She doesn't want. She doesn't care about like them falling in love with her. She wants them to get with each other.
Like it's a good bit.
I love it.
It's a fun space.
And as she gets to like know them, it's fascinating because like under those, it's sad that under those circumstances, they would not have met before because they do become friends. Like, and that's endearing. But yeah, I don't know. I'll keep it going, and you know, you guys will probably hear about any other random escapades I get into. You know, even at least at the beginning part of the show where I'm like, "What have you been watching?" And then I'll be like, "I've been watching this, and I'm on team this." You know, it's just how it is. That's just how I am.
Which was Alan's fiance, Mary?
Mary, yeah.
Okay.
The flower girl.
If I had to pick a team, maybe it's Team Mary.
I
find it funny. I find it funny that like she was supposed to be married to Alan, and now all of a sudden it's like that's not a thing anymore, and she's trying to like sabotage.
Just absolutely nothing.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right.
But also like you get a semblance that like, because right, the entire story with Alan is that she kind of like in the original game she breaks it off with Alan, and then she's just like, whatever, you know, like. I get a feeling that she never liked Alan, really. You know, like that's how I feel. Maybe she was gay this entire time. You know, like,
she had her awakening.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all right, go girl.
Okay, so if you had to pick a team, you would be Team Mary, and then
maybe Team Mary.
And then maybe Team Mary. All right, what about you, Jennii? If you
or the other girl.
If I had a gun pointed to your head, who would you pick? Because I know you generally don't like anybody. Is there somebody you like maybe just a little bit more than the rest?
Actually, I'm gonna have to go with the females also. Other than Alan, Mary was probably one of my favorites too.
Okay.
And I feel like she also had some hints of it being a little bit more than what we can see from season 1.
Yeah.
They kind of hint at some like past things.
Yeah.
That I'm curious where they would have taken that.
Yeah.
But they didn't go into it enough for me to actually commit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, also their relationship was probably the most genuine. It felt like the nature of a shared common interest.
Yeah.
That felt real.
Okay. Who would I pick? I do like Mary. You know, I'll give Alan some love. I like Alan the most.
was good too.
I think I'm Team Alan. I think the hardest I laughed in the first season was when they were doing the Book of Desires. When all of them except for Mary and who else did not end up in the Book of Desires? Sophia?
The red
Sophia.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Sophia. And they're going through the book and they have to see everyone's like situation play out, right? And so it gets to like that certain point, and then they're like no. But when it gets to Alan's, Alan plays the piano for 5 seconds and they immediately close it.
Don't want to see it.
They're just like, don't want to see it at all. And then when they all get out of the book, they all like remember what happened. And so like they saw how it escalated in that like weird way and they feel bad about it. But it's so funny when Alan gets out of there and he's just like, I don't get it. What's the big deal? Like, I had this moment for 5 seconds and nothing happened. So I don't understand it. So I'm gonna give Alan a little bit of love there. Let's see. Princess Ozeline is Team Mary and Maria. Let's see. Looks like Sophia's my favorite, but Sophia's my favorite in the past life connection. They don't spend enough time on it in the anime apparently. The whole Atsuko thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you guys find it at least interesting, the Atsuko thing? The like fact that her friend from a past life is essentially in this game, and like.
Yeah, I wanted more from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. Like and I guess they went into it more in the books, right?
Yeah.
But like it feels like some of that stuff felt a little rushed. right, and thrown in there, and I was like, I could have been sold on more of this storyline.
Yes, Jennii?
So, okay, I think I meant Sophia for which one
Sophia.
I was gonna. Yeah, Sophia.
Yeah.
I was confusing her for Mary.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it was her story that I was like, I saw that connection.
Yeah.
But
Sophia's
like Rob was
great.
saying, they didn't go into it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would have been a whole nother story. It could have been its own.
I do
story.
think Sophia is really great. Because they're connecting over something that isn't. It is something from the past life, and it is something in that world. It still exists in that world, and they can still connect over this thing, and it's books, and that there's something, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So if I had to pick a team on the guys' side, it would be Alan. They really do nothing with what's his name, Nicole. Her brother, because he doesn't say he doesn't say anything, but also like
he just sits there, he smiles real quick, and it's like, all right, move on.
That's his bit. And then if I had to pick one on the girls' side, I do like Mary, but I think Sophia. I mean, it just happens to be the thing that they did give it the most time, even though it still wasn't enough. And I think I feel like that's a common issue with some harems, is that like. Especially like if you like the character the most, right? Like I'm a Toradora guy,
Toradora's great,
and I'm not a Team Taiga guy, nor am I a Team what's her name? Who's the redheaded girl?
It's been forever.
Yeah, I'm neither of those two, and those are the people that get all the spotlight. I'm an Ami guy. I'm Team Ami.
Ami. I don't really see too many Ami enthusiasts.
Here I am.
I'm being honest.
Here I am. What's up? What's up, Jennii?
Can I get a quick summary of these references?
So Toradora is it's a harem anime, but I would say it's like the anime very clearly is setting up a thing that it's not like a full blown harem, but it is.
There are multiple girls interested in the main guy, but clearly they're pitching two specific characters.
They're pitching two specific characters, and so it's high school. The lead guy likes this red-headed girl. She's an athlete, popular girl, and in order to get close to her, he tries to be friends with her best friend. Her name is Taiga, and she's known as the Palm Tiger. She's like really small, and
very feisty.
Very feisty. Is she considered the first? Okay, so the person who voice acted her, Taiga, was crowned queen of the Tsunderes for that role. It's such an iconic role for the Tsundere like archetype. That everyone just calls her like the queen of the Tsunderes now. So Taiga is a perfect representation of a Tsundere character. And yeah, pretty much I would say the anime covers those two. It's mostly about those two. There is a third girl in the story, but you could only really romance her in like side games. And you see more of her in like manga and stuff like that, but they don't really go into it in the show. And her name is Ami. Beautiful. She's like one of the class beauties. Doesn't really have a reason to talk to these people, but somehow gets tied up with them, and then gets an interest in the main character, even though he's like a pretty normal, chill guy. Yeah, that's it. High school harem.
But it digs when you start getting into like Taiga and her background, though. It digs into like some pretty dark places.
It does.
So it's one of those shows that like just has really strong writing once you start getting into the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like at first she's pretty off-putting, and then you get into like her family situations and stuff like that, and where she is, and it's fantastic.
It has the campy fun, but once it gets to the drama, even the drama with Minoru. Her name is Minoru. Yeah, the redhead girl. And also the stuff with her.
Yeah.
Her handling her feelings about everything, pretty good. And I agree. Definitely one of the issues is that My Next Life as a Villainess doesn't really have anything quite like that. I think it could. I think the pieces are there to have stuff like that.
Like the idea and the setup for it is pretty good. Like I'm willing to buy into like this idea of going into this game that I once loved, and like the setup is there, right? But execution wise, it just doesn't fire on the cylinders that I need it to.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, let's see. Is there anything else? Oh, how could I forget? Our little game, right? We do a little game for every episode. Jenny's favorite thing.
Oh no.
So are you guys ready for this? Is gonna be cringe, I can tell, but I'm excited. So I'm going to alternate between you two, and I need you don't have to voice act or anything like that, but I need you to pretend you're like on a dating game show, and I'm going to tell you what character you're portraying, and you have to answer with the answer that you think that character would say. So are you ready?
Yeah.
Jenny goes first.
Jenny goes first.
I got you, Rob.
Appreciate you.
All right, Jenny. You are playing Keith Clies, her brother. Where is the perfect first date spot?
No, when ever since we were kids, there was this one spot that I remember Mom would call out to us, and we would ignore her because we just wanted to be alone. And really, that's where I think I'd like to take her. No one else bothering us. Not her pesky fiance. No one's pesky fiance. Just us. It's perfect. Reminds me of the solitude of childhood. Was just you two alone, and the stars. It's perfect. Eating her favorite cookie. Oh, love that look on her face when she gets that smile. Just reminds us of how we grew up together, and just love knowing that I know her better than anybody else.
I love that. I want some cookies now.
So cringe.
It's so cringe, but it's so perfect.
The most cringe.
Alright, Rob. You're Mary. And what have you always wanted to do, but haven't yet?
Is this a PG show? Yeah, no.
I like that.
I feel like we've gotten very close. So we can't talk about it. We can't talk about it.
We just insert bleep sounds.
It's the part where she gets bright red and she just runs off.
I love that. Alright, I'm writing these down. Alright, Jenny. As Katarina Clias, our main character, what would you buy if I gave you $1,000 right now? This is such a funny question because she's rich in this world.
Well, obviously, since it's, I gotta protect my life, okay? Like, all else, nothing's gonna work out. It's gonna go all terrible. And if no one can help me, just myself, I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna go buy a farm. I'm gonna go buy a bunch of land. Actually, I was plotting this out. I have a map. Was looking at this in the library, and when I was supposed to be studying, and this is where I'm going to go. In all my plans, it's not going to work out. It's probably not going to work out. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to grow all of my garden just like this. Actually, is there any way I can take it there? Oh, I can probably go ahead and also rent a carriage. And then I'll put all of my plants in that carriage and then go out to this farm. So I don't even have to start over. This is perfect. That's all I need to do. Okay, story over.
I love that. You captured her kind of like manic ADHD. like brain, because that's definitely what happens. I could see 5 Jennies talking to herself in her head. One of the Jennies has a mustache.
All in favor?
All in favor. I love that. All right. Rob, Giordo Stewart, the prince.
Oh boy.
Describe a time you took care of a loved one.
Who does that? We have maids for that. We have servants. Why would I? That doesn't make any sense. I will gladly call over one of our servants to help you if you need help.
Incredible. What a question. What a question. Okay. Jennii. This is Serious Deke. The guy at the end. The one who can use darkness magic. Where is your favorite place to spend time?
Well, as obviously a figurehead in society where everyone is observing my every move, and I must be perfect at all times. I'm actually volunteering at the local libraries, also reading to the children stories that I wrote by myself. Actually, it's a very famous publication. It's doing very, very well. And it's actually part of my internship for my doctorate degree in doctoring. Because it's only to get a background for my goal to become a lawyer, actually, so that I can also do pro bono work only for people who can't afford lawyers. And,
I love this. I love this shining beacon of a human. Oh my god.
I mean, it's all for the good of the people, and I am here to help you with whatever you need, because that's what I do as a student council president.
Perfect.
I don't trust this motherfucker. I don't trust this motherfucker at all.
Incredible. Alright, Rob. Let's do Alan Stewart. If you could invite anyone to dinner, who would it be, and what would you talk about?
I mean, man, I would obviously, I would have to invite Catalina. I want to have a good time, and then I need to talk to her about how we climb those trees, and I've gotten so much better at climbing now, so I think that's the perfect setting to reissue this challenge and get the rematch, because I'm gonna win this time. Absolutely.
Incredible. All right, let's see. I'll do one more for both of you. Let's do Sophia Ascart, Jennii. What is your idea of a romantic evening?
Dang, I already did the library.
You did. I think you could do the library again, if I'm being completely honest with you.
No. I gotta get more creative with this. My idea of romantic. Well, honestly, it has to be alone, and if no one else is there with me, I'd be fine with that too. And it'll be, oh, you know what's really romantic? The top of a tower of a castle overlooking the ocean, and just walls and walls of books that I haven't finished yet. And I could just take this time to just finish them finally, and know what happens to the princess at the end.
Sophia's just me. Something is just me. Ooh, I'm gonna read a romantic book after this. All right, Rob. Nicole Ascart, do you believe in love at first sight?
This is where you just put the ... and then he smiles.
And then ladies scream.
And then ladies scream.
There we go. Perfect.
That's it. He's the easiest one.
He is the easiest one. All right, fantastic. All right. So without further, what?
Asher, I have one for you. Since you didn't play this game. Let's see here. I want you. Actually.
I'm always caught off guard by you two.
Let's see. Jennii, I'm gonna pick a character. You pick a scenario.
Oh yes, I love it.
Oh my god.
Teamwork.
Oh no! The host is on the receiving end of this attack. This wasn't in the script of the last game. I'm having a meeting in my head.
I'm gonna do Maria Campbell.
Okay.
Maria.
Okay.
Maria Campbell at a job interview. And why should I hire you?
There we go.
Okay. Wait a second. I wasn't ready.
You think
I wasn't ready. Okay. You picked the most, like, modest girl to do this job interview. I'm having such a hard time right now.
High five.
All right. Okay. Maria Campbell. What the fuck was she hardly ever talks to. She's just like, why should we hire you? Well, I think I am a very kind person, and I try my best at all times. I really like the idea of working here, and I think we can have a good time. There, I think that's what she would say. Especially, like, you know, when Katarina asked her, is like, do you like anyone? And she's like, I like you. She doesn't go into really any detail. She's just like, I like you. You know what I'm saying? She never makes
you had to get hired. We just said that you just had to respond.
She makes no big deal about, like, the fact that she could do light magic. Never even talks about it. Doesn't even think her, like, cookies are, like, that good. So it's just like, oh my god, what do I do here? Incredible. Hopefully that's to your guys' liking. Especially, like, since I can't do it's such an iconic voice too. It caught me off guard. Like, have you seen Spy Family, Jennii? Or Kakegurui?
I haven't.
She's the lead of both of those anime. And so, like, to hear her voice come out of Maria Campbell's mouth was just like I got, like, whiplash, because she's played, like, these other very different characters. And it was just, like, it's just really funny to see. But she nails it, quite frankly. She can be a freak, or she could be, you know, that wholesome girl. Jabami's on the freak spectrum. Your Forger from Spy Family is in the middle. And then Maria Campbell's on the wholesome section. So fantastic. All right, I'll be ready to block the attacks on the next one.
Unblockable.
Unblockable.
Never gonna be ready.
I'm gonna be able to reactable. All right, so without further ado, I'm so excited. Because I'm always just excited to watch anime, especially anime that comes from my friends. For the next episode, what anime do we have to watch, Jennii? Jennii has the pick for this next one.
So this one kind of came as a surprise to me. One of my coworkers, I had to go on a work trip, and one of my coworkers had a tattoo on his arm, and he said it's from his favorite anime of all time. And I was one I'd never heard of before, but as soon as I mentioned it to Paul, he's like, "Wow, okay." And every reaction of like anime knowing people have reacted in a similar way, and I've never heard of this anime. And he said that he thinks you two will be like, "Whoa, okay." So that anime is Fooly Cooly.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Okay.
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 You know what? It's been a long time.
I have a history with Fooly Cooly. There was once, so I watched Fooly Cooly in high school when it aired in Adult Swim.
Yep.
After I watched it, I think I watched that anime like front and back, like at least once a week for like a year. I am very excited. I'm very excited for this. Very, very excited for this. Okay.
This is, I think, Elias's favorite anime.
I think there are probably still episodes I could just quote like from beginning to end.
That's crazy.
If I said, okay, yeah.
I love that.
I know nothing about it.
You know nothing about
like,
it?
The little nothing. The plot synopses that you read online say nothing. They're basically like one of those you just gotta watch it kind of ones.
It absolutely is.
I guess you could say the same
twice.
about Paranoia Agent, where it's like I have no idea how to describe what Paranoia Agent is.
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever pitch Fooly Cooly to anybody, really.
Nope.
It's really, you just have to watch it.
Before you hopped on, I told Asher, I even watched the trailer, and I still had no idea what the hell I was getting into.
You mentioned to me that you were debating between two. Am I allowed to know what the second one is, or should we?
Yeah, I'm gonna make you guys watch it eventually.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, what is it? Out of curiosity.
It was gonna be Charlotte originally.
Oh, Charlotte. Okay. Fun.
Good old visual key. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But this one's new for me, and I guess you both have seen this one already.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up to my shelf, pull out the Blu-ray,
it has been a minute.
Wipe it, be like, wow, I can't believe I'm watching this again. You know, just like wild. It's a really fun one for me because one of my best friends really loves it. And it was really interesting because I think the second season had a lot of backlash. But his take on the second season was so fascinating to me. I've never seen the second season, but I could hear this man's talk about the second season for forever, and it made me want to watch it, even though I haven't gone around to it.
Yeah, it's. I haven't seen the second or third season of it. It's a show that like it came out at a very specific time, and then you had like many years before they decided to greenlit a sequel. Like that is a relatively recent thing that they did. So you go in with that skepticism of like, are they going to nail like what made this original thing really good, right? And it seems like it is a very at least a different thing that just people wasn't latching on to. And hearing it was Elias, right?
Yeah, it was Elias.
He talked about it, and that was selling me on it because I initially writ off the second and third seasons because from what I was hearing, right? So one day I would like to check those out based off of how excited he was for it. I was like, you were the first person that has talked to me about it in this way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He spoke with such passion and like knowledge about it.
Yeah.
That I couldn't help but be like, he's right. You know, like even if he's wrong, I feel like he's right just because of like the way he spoke from it. It was from like a deep place. That's exciting. So yeah, before we call it today, where can people find you? Or actually, do you guys have anything coming down the pipeline? And then where can people find you? So starting with Jennii.
So far, nothing. I'm gonna try and keep things off my plate for a little while. I start school back up again this weekend. So, yeah, I'll be pretty busy. But you guys will be able to find me here always. This is like one of my favorite things to do.
I'm glad. That warms my heart. So thank you for being a part of this. Really. What about you, Rob? Where can people find you, and what are you up to?
You can find me on our other show, the JSB Cast, that goes up Oh, we switched actually. Announcement for that. We are now moved to a bi-weekly podcast.
Mhm.
So every 2 weeks. Which funny, we're still recording on the same day that we do this.
Oh damn! So these are packed days for you.
So these are gonna be packed days, but at least it's spread out to every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Instead of me doing a weekly thing.
Mhm.
So it'll always go up the Wednesday following this show.
Okay.
And we took like a good like 3 week break. Like we pretty much went on break the same day we decided to do the break for the last show. So it was funny that like I had a free Sunday all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to go record that later and see what everybody's been up to.
Mhm.
So stay tuned for that stuff there. You can find me on Twitter at Zenosuke, Zenosuke. Talking a lot about like Street Fighter 6. That is a game that just released. It's a new big fighting game, and it's very, very good. I'm pretty smitten by it, despite not traditionally being a Street Fighter player.
Yeah. Same here, actually.
Yeah, so it's very, very, very interesting stuff. And then you can also find me losing my life on the free-to-play game Honkai Star Rail, where I spend all of my time and money on gacha. So
it's true. All right, fantastic. And then for me, you can find me here on this channel. I'm currently streaming with Steph 999.
good game.
Good game. Really, really funny stuff. Like I love a good game where every character, you know, I joke about it all the time. The characters will be in this like life-threatening situation. They have to solve a Saw type puzzle where they have to get out of this room where they're flooding, and then one of the characters will be like, you know, this makes me think of Theseus's ship. Do you know what Theseus's ship is? And then they go on this entire tangent as this room is flooding about like what Theseus's ship is, and I'm like, why are we doing this? And I think I wouldn't do that, but there's definitely a clip out there of me on Twitch while we're playing like a video game, and I'm just like, have you ever read Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis?
Oh my god.
And then me going on this entire thing about Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis. I have those. I played that game when I was like 13. I think it is so formative.
You are a character in one of those.
I am absolutely a character in like 999. I'm just like, what do you guys know about relative theory? You know, just wacky stuff like that. The theory of relativity.
And we're over here trying to solve a Sudoku puzzle before our heads get blown off. And Asher is over here just like, so metamorphosis.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh my god.
So I'm playing that right now, and then I just haven't been able to stream as consistent recently, but I'm hopefully now that I'm not like traveling to all over the place, I can get back to it more and maybe play things like Magic or like, I don't know, some chill games. I would love to start, and pardon me if I mispronounce it, Atelier Ryza.
Yeah.
I would love to play that just in the evenings, wind down, chill, stream, and if any goons want to vibe, just, you know, enjoy that game. That's what I hear. So I would love to do that. I too am and you could follow me on Twitter on the same username. I too am playing Street Fighter, so I'm trying to put out a banger Street Fighter 6 meme, but none of them have taken yet. You know, so we'll find out what happens. But there, you know, I'll be retweeting anime stuff, food stuff. Possibly you'll get more thoughts as I like explore more of the like maybe novels or manga of My Next Life as a Villainess, and the second season, because I'm gonna continue it. And then of course maybe you'll get some tidbits here or there about Fooly Cooly or something. I don't know. And then always remember you can catch the VODs on the Jacksonville Savage Base YouTube. That will be up at the end screen. And yeah, you can follow all the other social medias from there. Anything else? Or have I pretty much covered it?
I think you covered it all, friend.
Covered it all. All right. Everyone say goodbye. Bye-bye. 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 Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.